Good morning. We're going to do another tour today of our garden here in northwestern Missouri. I'm going to show you the greenhouse garden where we grow in sand and sawdust. We have a small garden in our native soil, and I've also got a little bit of news for you about a future project that you can expect to see on our channel, and I'm going to include timestamps in the description so that you can go right to those topics if you're interested in them. But we're going to get started here in the greenhouse. Look what I see. I need to spray BT on these tomatoes this morning. Not good. Oh, and I just dropped him. Gotcha. Done. Not the topic idea for today, but as soon as you see one of those, start putting BT on your tomatoes and do it once a week, every week thereafter, and you won't have a major loss to that hornworm. We're already here, so let's start with the tomatoes. I've got tomatoes now that are 7 feet tall. This guy right here has a little bit of a nutrition deficiency in that leaf, and that's a magnesium deficiency. I have been throwing some magnesium to it, and it should be coming out of it here pretty soon. But still lots of tomatoes on here. We have been eating the tomatoes for about a week, and I've got more tomatoes that are nearly ready to come out. Now, the carrots. These guys are, the greens are 16, 18 inches tall on them. I'm going to make a stir fry tomorrow, and I'm going to pull some carrots out, thin these out a little bit, and give them a little more room to grow. Cabbage, we're still eating off of them every week. We have been using them for a stir fry about twice a week. Broccoli is still being used just for the greens. We use these in our stir fry. I use them on sandwiches and sometimes with my eggs in the morning. They do make small little heads of broccoli. These are still edible, and we do clip those off and use them in our stir fry as well. We have a very large wall of green beans. And we have some ready to pick again. I don't like them to get any bigger than this one here. So long as I keep them picked, these plants will continue to make more blooms and grow more green beans. If you let them get too big and it starts to set seeds, the plant will slow down production and think it's at the end of its life. Don't let them get great big, and you can eat off of them for a long time. Spaghetti squash is still growing. This thing is massive. Let me see. Here's a tape measure. I'm going to grab the tape measure just to give you an idea of the size of this thing. There's a, whoop, here we go. Huge. And there's a bunch of them in there like that. We do still have the powdery mildew that we're fighting. It is slowly getting better, getting under control. Unfortunately, because of where I've grown this next to a massive wall of green beans, I'm afraid that this is going to be an ongoing problem. I will lay out the greenhouse a little bit different next year. We're still setting lots of spaghetti squash. Lots of spaghetti squash. So we're going to let it go. Well, we're not going to let it go. We're going to continue to treat it, but we'll still get a crop out of it. The beets are getting bigger. Got several of them about that size now. You can see all of the leaves that have been cut off of here. We eat these every week. I've got more started in a seedling tray next to the house, and I'm going to put in more beets. We're eating these more frequently than I thought, and this 3 feet of beets here is not quite enough for us. Here we have edamame on the left, and I have a bush bean on the right. It's a purple bean. I forget the name of it. I'm bad with names. I had a little space to fill and did it just for fun. There's a few more leaves of cabbage there that are more than ready to have leaves harvested to eat, and those will be part of our meal tomorrow night when we make another stir fry. I have got a spaghetti squash here that is vined out to about 15 feet in length. It originates there to the right of that 4x4 post. It goes 7 feet to the top of the structure, and this is it here. Vining over, down, back up, and almost all the way back to the ground again. I did have it training up at the top. I'm not sure why it fell down, but I'll get that fixed here soon. Let me back up here so that you can see the slicing cucumbers. These are the ones that I did a video on pruning and training a few weeks ago. They're all the way to the top of the greenhouse now. This guy got really heavy and kind of collapsed down my twine. He's beat up, but he's still growing. I don't want to move it too much. I don't want to break the vine. I'm going to harvest those cucumbers off of him today and do a little bit better job at training this one up that twine from here on out, but it will be fine. These are tremendous cucumbers, by the way. They get to almost 2 feet in length and are absolutely wonderful. Okay, onions. I have not very many onions in here. Again, I don't know what I was thinking. We eat far more onions than this, but pretty nice bulbs on them. Doing well. We have a yellow and a red onion that we're growing. And again, I have more seedlings started to put a larger amount of onions out in the soil. All right, and that's it for the greenhouse. Let's move on. This is the project that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. I've got a bunch of seedlings growing here on this little table, and these are going to be going into a new Mittleider garden that we're going to make from scratch. All of these seeds are going to be used in a small Mittleider garden in the soil at a little restaurant. They're going to have a garden that they're going to pull produce out of and prepare for their customers. I have bush beans here. I have zucchini. There's going to be chard, kale. I have onions started here. These are for me, actually. 2 varieties of beets, a white beet, a red beet. What am I missing? Chard, kale, beets, cabbage. We're putting a lot of crops that have a secondary edible in them for use on a weekly basis. We will be starting this garden for this project entirely from scratch. Right now it is a patch of yard next to their business, and it is my intention to video this process and show you how to make a Mittleider garden in your own soil from scratch. We're going to show you the process of staking it out, describe the beds, the lengths of the beds, the reason that we're doing it, and get the tiller out, get to tilling, rake out the grass, square up the growing area, lay out our twine, and get to work. That will be a new video series, and we should be here in a couple of days getting started. If this is something that you're interested in, I'd like to hear from you in the comment section. All right, garden in the soil. Well, kind of. This is another grow box that is filled with sand and sawdust. We grow our potatoes and sweet potatoes in it. I'm going to spend this entire time competing with that rooster. The sweet potatoes have grown significantly since the last garden tour update that we've done. They're going to start, yes, Mr. Rooster, they're going to start billowing out into the garden here pretty soon. You can grow both of these in soil with the Mittleider method, absolutely no problem. I have become spoiled because I can harvest all of these with my hand. I don't need a potato fork, I don't need a shovel to dig them up. All right, here is our Mittleider garden in the soil. I still don't have the rest of these rows planted. I'm way behind. I do have seedlings started for it, so in the next couple of weeks I should have at least one of these full, and hopefully the second one started. But we have Amish paste tomatoes that are growing here. All of these are Amish paste, I do believe. I may have a few left over Better Boy and Big Beef down here near the cucumbers. The cucumbers have already reached the top of our T-post, T-frames. And I need to let that twine down to allow them to grow more. We do already have cucumbers out here on these plants. We've been eating for about a week. There's one here. We also have some leftover butternut squash that is very much wild, very much needs to be pruned up. I don't want it out in the aisle that way, don't want it on the ground. So that will be taken care of today. My zucchini, well, you've seen zucchini. I don't need to take you down there and show it to you. Like, I did have one plant in a pretty heavy rain that got broke. It is going to get removed out of the garden, and I've got more seedlings started. I'll take one of those and replace it. We've begun to get a little bit of heat, and the peppers are liking it, and they're taking off a little more. Keep saying and, don't I? We have some that are setting little peppers on them already, the jalapenos. As they grow, I am going to set up twine, kind of like I've got over here for my tomatoes and cucumbers, to grow them vertically and help support the weight of the plant. These are going to get very heavy with, especially the bell peppers. They're going to get a lot of weight on them, and they will break the compound leaves under their own weight. I will help support some of that weight with the twine and get more peppers because of it. Yeah, look at there, jalapenos ready to eat. It's a happy day to have a jalapeno to have fresh out of the garden. Anybody want a chicken? They're quiet till I get down here and start talking, then for whatever reason they get offended. Will you stop? The last thing that I have to show you are the celery plants. There are 4 of them here, and these are another one of those secondary edible items. The outer leaves will get pruned today and used in our stir fry this evening. I have more celery started as well. I don't have enough, I don't think. We're really starting to use and enjoy this stuff. So I'm going to make a late addition to the garden and plant a little more celery. This is our Mittleider garden grown in our heavy clay soil here in northwest Missouri. If you have any questions about the Mittleider garden, we do have a playlist that has a bunch of videos on the topic. Or if you have any questions, leave us a comment and we'd be happy to try to get them answered for you.